I want to continue the theme that I started last time. We've covered some basic points concerning VAT registration, but in these short presentations, we cannot cover everything. So if you think there is anything here that will impact on you, please get in touch. We've dealt with the basics of registration and deregistration, so let's take a brief look at some aspects of record keeping, the impact on profitability of registering for VAT, and some ideas for things you could consider around the subject of VAT registration. Most of you will be familiar with the records that you need to keep for VAT, but from the 1st of April 2018 you must keep your VAT records digitally. And for VAT period commencing on or after the 1st of April 2019, you must submit your VAT return using MTD compatible software. Now, many of you will be using the HMRC Portal to input your VAT details by keyboard, and as yet we do not know when this facility will be withdrawn. In practice, your VAT return has to be filed online with MTD compatible software, but who will file it? Many people have asked us if we can file their returns online for them, and of course we can. You just let us have your records and we load these onto our own software and file your returns. If you want your own MTD compatible software, it must be able to communicate with HMRC's systems. There are plenty of packages already available, and I've listed the main ones on the slide. Can you use a spreadsheet? Well, the answer will depend on what add-on software becomes available to convert the spreadsheet into a format that can communicate with HMRC's own processes. So you can keep your own VAT records or give them to us to process. Remember that if you go for an online package, we can log in at any time and access your records and do what is necessary to prepare and submit your VAT returns almost without you knowing about it. How does VAT registration impact on your profits? The answer hinges on a number of factors. Are your customers VAT registered? If so, they will not care if the price goes up because you've added the VAT, because they can reclaim it. If your customers are not VAT registered and cannot reclaim VAT on expenses, they will be much more sensitive to price increases. Not everybody can reclaim all of the VAT on their overheads, but if you can, then being able to reclaim VAT after you've registered for VAT will mean that you're reducing your overhead costs. So if you can add on VAT onto your prices and reduce your overheads by reclaiming VAT, then you're going to be more profitable. Let's look at a couple of examples. A farmer, most of their sales are zero rated, so they're very keen to be VAT registered because they're reclaiming VAT on all their expenses. A painter, all their work will be VATable, so they want to delay being VAT registered for as long as possible. If they work primarily for the public, they probably cannot put up their prices to reflect the VAT, and so they have to bear it out of current income, reducing profitability. HMRC and various other bodies have highlighted the large number of businesses with a turnover just below the VAT threshold. This is because at the point of registration, if you cannot pass on the VAT to your customers, you could have to increase your turnover possibly as high as £102,000 just to be in the same position profit-wise as you were just before you registered. So when you're getting near the VAT threshold, there's a lot to think about. Are you going to stay below the threshold or expand your business and possibly have to increase your turnover from £85,000 to £102,000? You need to look also at who will register. Remember, it's not the business that registers, but the person or body carrying on the business. Some people try to avoid VAT registration by dividing the business into two. One perhaps is a sole trader and the other is a partnership, and each one below the VAT threshold. But HMRC have rules against this, so that if you want to try this, you have to plan very carefully. Here are a list of things to consider when registering for VAT. We don't have time or space to go into them in detail, but the flat rate scheme for small traders is often quite beneficial. Annual accounting allows you to submit just a single VAT return in the year. If you're making exempt supplies, there is a de minimis which means that even on exempt supplies, you can reclaim the VAT. At the point of registration, you can go back and reclaim VAT from before you were VAT registered. Watch out for business splitting. If you're going to do it properly. And always consider outsourcing, getting somebody else to do all the hard work for you. So I hope that you found this review useful. It's a very quick review. There's a lot of detail that we had to leave out. Remember that if any of this impacts on you, you can get in touch and we'll be delighted to help. I'm Alan Long from Long Partnership, making life less taxing.